We will call the City of Milton Common Council meeting to order Tuesday, July 20th, 2021 at 6:01 p.m. This is an in-person as well as a Zoom option meeting. So we will be muting and unmuting and turning off and on microphones. So it might be an adjustment for us. Can I get confirmation of the appropriate meeting notice?
Meeting notice was posted at Dave's Ace Hardware, Piggly Wiggly, and Milton City Hall.
Thank you. And is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? We have an agenda. Our Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have anybody signed up for public comments? No. Okay, we are going to do the consent agenda, and then we are going to move up number 11, discussion and possible action regarding Eagle Scout donation at Dog Park, if everybody's okay with it.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
And Ryan, did
Second.
you want to abstain? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And Ryan's abstaining, and the motion carries. Item number 11, discussion and possible action regarding Eagle Scout donation at Dog Park.
So Inga's way down, since Inga's way down there and Howie's not with us tonight, I'll kind of give a little introduction. DJ Christensen, who's out here in the audience, presented a potential Eagle Scout project to install exercise equipment at the dog park.
For dogs?
For dogs, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This went to the Parks and Recreation Committee and was approved, and those improvements have since been installed and are very favorite items of my children, but not my dog. So yeah. Thank you, DJ, appreciate that. So from our perspective at the city, anytime there's a donation to the city, especially in terms of permanent facilities such as what has been installed, it's the council's responsibility to accept those donations. So that's the item on the agenda tonight. And of course, we would recommend that the council accept the dog park equipment so DJ doesn't have to drag it back to his dad's garage. So.
And we also want to say thank you and congratulations. That's quite a project, and we're happy that you chose the City of Milton Dog Park to be part of your project. Is there a motion?
I would move that we accept the gift.
And I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments?
We'll state it that I also went over.
Did DJ want to say something about it?
He didn't, unless he's changed his mind. He's humble that way. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Is there anyone opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much and congratulations. And maybe you'll run for council someday too.
Inga, do we want to take his picture?
Sure, sure. Okay. All righty. Okay, so we are at item number 6, discussion and possible action regarding the first amendment to the TIF development agreement with Claussen Quality Chocolate.
So Claussen Quality Chocolates has requested an amendment to their TIF development agreement that was originally approved back on February 12th of 2021. Due to a number of issues regarding supply chains, with mostly approval processes through the state, they didn't get started on their project when they wanted to. Originally, they had talked about starting in March, April. They actually didn't get started until early July. I think they started on like July 5th or 6th for their site work. Because of that delay in the start, they were concerned that they wouldn't be able to be finished in time to meet their finishing deadline. So they asked for the TIF development agreement to be amended to basically kind of push all of the actionable items back 1 year. It doesn't change any of the financial impacts of the TIF development agreement, incentives offered, or valuations or anything like that. However, it does probably present a positive impact for the city because the way the TIF development agreement was negotiated, the entire increment that is created in year 1 will be captured by the TIF, and it's likely that they will be much nearer completion based on the extension than they would have been at the time. So what we projected in the TIF development agreement was potentially a valuation of $10 million in year 1, which would generate about $250,000 worth of increment. Now, if they're closer to development or completion of development, say $20 million or $25 million, that just means that the amount of increment captured by the TIF would be greater. So there's not a financial impact, but there is a potential financial bonus. That's not the right word, but advantage to the city in this this amendment. But the full term of the development agreement doesn't change.
Is there a motion?
I would move approval of the amendment to the TIF development agreement with CQC.
Second.
Is there any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding the memorandum of understanding between the City of Milton and Scylla Excavating.
So I can let Mark take this one since he's here in person. You got to have the orange light on.
Orange light. Scylla Excavating approached the city about using our site south of Putman Parkway for use during the grading work of the Claussen site. They would like to stockpile topsoil on the site, possibly take some borrow, and then ultimately they'll remove the existing spoil pile that's on the site and spread topsoil where none currently exists. When the site was owned by the previous owner, the material was taken out of the site to build the 59 highway and some of the overpasses, and the topsoil wasn't put back. So ultimately, they'll put topsoil back where none exists in return for them using our site. They have to have all the work completed by August of 2022. Attorney Schrader has reviewed the document, and the amendment was created because of items 6 and 7 that were not in the original MOU, and that's some of the discussion regarding the spoil pile that will be removed. If there's any questions, we can answer those, but otherwise our recommendation would be to approve the MOU, the amended MOU.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move that we approve the amended memorandum of understanding between the city and Scylla and Sons.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carries. I did forget to say that Alderperson Clark is appearing by Zoom. Okay. All right. Item number 8, discussion and possible action regarding a sanitary sewer easement along Parkview Drive to serve development.
So this is to install the sanitary sewer between Parkview Drive and what is known as Pierce Farms or Red Hawk Farms. The property is owned privately. We would need an easement from that owner to install the sanitary sewer to provide gravity sewer service to the new lift station that was recently completed. If we review the easement and if we have any questions, we can answer those. Otherwise, we would recommend approving the easement, and then we would provide it to the property owner for their review.
Is there any questions or comments?
I just had one, and I probably missed it. It's somewhere in here, I'm sure, but is there a time frame on that easement? I mean, amount of years, or or did I miss it?
It is a permanent easement where the sewer main is installed, and then there's also a temporary easement for construction of the sewer main.
So the temporary.
Larry, can you put your microphone on, please? Thanks.
Thank you. So used to Zoom. So the temporary is the temporary, and then the system itself, we have a permanent.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Anything else for anyone? Is there a motion?
I'll recommend approval of the sewer main utility construction and maintenance easement.
I will second that.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding bids received for the Red Hawk sanitary sewer improvements.
So this is to install the sewer in the easement we just discussed. The project was put out to bid, and the low bid was received from Genesis Excavators. It was about $27,000 below our pre-bid estimate, so that was good. But the bid tab is attached. They would like to start work in September, and I think the completion date we had, I'd have to check, but I think it was the end of October. So it's to be constructed this year yet in order to provide sewer service for future development.
Any comments or questions? Is there a motion? Linda? Linda, you need to unmute your phone. *6.
Oh, thank you. I'll make the motion to approve Genesis Excavating for the Red Hawk Farm sanitary sewer improvement.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Linda, you're just going to have to jump up and down a little bit more if you're going to make a motion so I see you. Okay, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance 486 restricting parking on the east side of Newman Court.
So the city has received a couple of requests to evaluate the parking situation that exists along Newman Court. Apparently with changes of residents in that area, there has been a higher occurrence than in the past, at least from what we understand, of cars parking on both sides of Newman Court, which is making it difficult for vehicles to kind of traverse up and down that cul-de-sac. Whenever we get requests like this, they generally kind of go through an administrative review process that involves certainly Mark Langer and Howie Robinson, but as well as Chief Mark Ward and his staff, so they can look at it visually and make us aware of any other additional complaints or accidents or anything in that area. Upon reviewing this specific request, our city engineer, Mark Langer, noted that for whatever reason, at whatever time this was constructed, this street narrows as it approaches St. Mary's Court, or St. Mary's Drive. And there's not a good understanding as to why that happened. Howie has some speculation that it may have dealt with trees that were previously there that they didn't want to disturb, but nonetheless, the condition that exists today is a very narrow, narrowing of the roadway as it approaches St. Mary's. So based on that review and the fact that you know, our standard street ordinance requires a 28-foot edge-to-edge road. It did seem appropriate to restrict parking on this to allow for a travel lane that would be that would meet today's standards. So in calling back the individual who I spoke to about this and discussing it with him, he felt that that was appropriate. You know, he was hoping for parking to be restricted on both sides, but understood, you know, that there's going to be a need in the neighborhood. It's a challenge because it's a cul-de-sac, so many of the homes that are on the cul-de-sac bulb really don't have any on-street parking because of the way cul-de-sacs are designed. But the resident acknowledged the fact that there has been a change in the neighborhood, and as time goes on, perhaps, you know, the pendulum will swing back. But he was concerned about, with the continual development of the gathering place, could that present additional challenges as people park for events in this area? So he thought it would be appropriate to not kind of wait out the teenage drivers, that this should be something that should be addressed, and we agreed. So based on the analysis done by Mark Langer and conversations with the police department, we had Attorney Schrader prepare Ordinance 486, which would restrict parking on the east side of Newman Court for the first 100 feet after the intersection of St. Mary's.
Only for the first 100 feet.
Correct. Only that's where it starts to widen back out.
Any further questions or comments? Linda, oh, thank you, Linda. Linda, I can't.
See?
I can't. I just
See?
can't even.
It's all the A names.
It's all the A names. Linda. Star six yourself.
I would like to make a motion to approve the first reading, waive the second and third reading, and adopt Ordinance 486, restricting parking for 100 feet along the east side of Newman Court. I know you're laughing now.
Wow. That's not even in the recommended motion. I am blown away.
Is there a second?
I just believe that it is a safety issue.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, Police Department hiring process and development of an academy attendee pay scale and commitment contract update.
Is that better? Okay. So we do have a preferred candidate we've given a conditional offer to, but for the very first time, our candidate does not have academy training. The hiring environment in law enforcement is something you've heard me talk about before, and it has become a challenge to hire individuals who already have academy training that aren't getting snapped up at other departments. And so we decided to begin sending somebody through academy for the very first time. That does have implications, specifically financially, that we've not done before. So Dan and I took a look at some of the things involved in that, decided that at the very least we should notify you of kind of what some of those things look like so you're aware of it. I'm not asking for any sort of motion tonight unless you feel you want to do that. But just want to let you know that this is probably going to be our future approach. We will always accept people into our hiring processes who already have academy training, and in a lot of cases, they will be the preferred candidates. But when those aren't an option, we now have a process in place where we can sponsor somebody through the academy. They very clearly, by Department of Justice standards, have to be employees of the agency. We can't say, yeah, go to academy. We'll tell them that you work here, but then not pay them or provide them benefits. That is against DOJ policy. So what we are doing is we have created a position description for basically, I think we call it a recruit officer. So that person does not have sworn law enforcement powers, can't make arrests, can't do all the things that you can do once you are certified, but will be an employee of the police department working full time. We've set a wage amount at $14.78 an hour, I believe it is. 17. I don't have the memo in front of me, but $17.48 an hour, which is about 75% of our starting police officer wage. And that's to provide them with compensation during this time, but also, slightly less because their powers and their authority is somewhat limited. And then full benefits will attach to that. The other piece of this is their departments throughout the state and throughout the country have seen a challenge in circumstances where a department will sponsor somebody through a police academy. They reach the end of that academy, achieve that certification through the state of Wisconsin, and then decide, no, I'm going to go over here and work for this other department instead. And then that takes away our investment we put into that person with giving them 18 weeks worth of training and no return, frankly, on that investment. So it's become more and more popular that agencies are setting up employment contracts with those new employees. And we looked at a couple of samples of that, and Mark took a look at the language and constructed some new language based upon the input that we received. And we will be asking this next person to take a look and sign that contract. And the main point of that contract is a $7,000 lump sum, should they choose to leave our organization in less than 3 years. What we do is we prorate that out monthly though. So the amount will be different if they leave at month 34 than if they leave at month 9. So we'll make those calculations if we need to. We hope that that will help protect our investment, incentivizes a person to stay with us, maybe in a negative way if they don't want to pay the bill, but enables us to be able to sponsor someone and feel a little bit more like our investment's protected doing it that way. It's really become a common approach. We have a lot of departments that do it. Some departments have wished they've done it after they've been burned by the same circumstance. Another couple of things in there, the main expense part is, a financial implication is, if they don't complete academy, well, let me start over. If they complete police academy and successfully graduate, the Wisconsin Department of Justice completely reimburses all tuition. We don't even pay a bill. The way we do it through Blackhawk Technical College is they handle all of that money transaction and we don't see any of it. If they don't successfully complete, Wisconsin Department of Justice does not reimburse, and then the responsibility falls to the sponsoring agency to pay that tuition bill that is prorated to how much time they actually spent in academy. There are several spots in the 18-week process where there's modules that are tested on, and people have been known to not pass that particular module and fail out of academy at that point. So this contract also helps us recoup that cost, that cost will be borne by the candidate through this contract rather than having us pay that bill if it comes due. So I guess I'm open to any questions and any thoughts y'all might have on it.
Anybody have any questions?
Just out of curiosity, is there anything along the way that has any of the field training process that is done through your station, or is it all done through Blackhawk Tech?
Yeah, we will still have a complete from day one field training process. That part is the same that we've always done. So when the candidate hits our door, it's the first day, just like everybody's first day has been, which is usually 12 to 14 weeks of monitored and pretty intensive field training before that person is working alone by themselves, catching calls and being responsible for a shift. To answer your question, that part won't change. There are still agency specific things that no academy will ever cover, but they do cover, some of the broader requirements by Law Enforcement Standards Board and
I just wondered if you kind of did it parallel with them as long as they were employed by you two. So.
Yeah, there's no opportunity to parallel the time. They have to finish, get the certification, which then leads to them being sworn in, which then we can start the field training process, because we only do that with sworn police officers. So there are steps. And that presents the challenge that I get concerned about, that in best case scenario, that's 30 weeks before somebody is starting academy to when they can be on a shift and serve as part of our shift minimums. That says nothing about the rest of the process that precedes that and how long it takes. And if we have to go through multiple processes and make a selection and then it doesn't work and we have to move on to another one, it's become a challenge, and we're not the only ones, and we'll continue to deal with that. But I hope this gives us a little bit more level playing field with the agencies who have been historically training people in academy.
Anything for anyone else?
I guess I would wonder whether our attorney feels that it would be good for the council to affirm this arrangement, or whether that's not necessary.
Well, I think ultimately at the time that it's determined, of course, not by the council, but it is determined to hire, then the financial aspects will be coming back here. And then at that point in time, it's certainly appropriate to approve it, or I guess Chief Marquardt's fine as well with just approving in general the employment agreement. I don't know if you actually have it in front of you though yet.
No, I did not provide copies.
Yeah, I didn't see that. So if you would like to do that, I think first it would be appropriate for you to see it like at a future meeting, and then you can review it. And then if you wanted to approve it at that point in time, but Chief has laid out the essence of the document, and it is accurate in my experience that this is becoming more common.
And then did like the police commission have to approve this, or no?
No, the police commission doesn't approve this part. What the police commission does is their four main realms are hiring, firing, discipline, and promotion. That's their statutory obligation. So on the hiring side, what the police commission does is participates in our selection process and then provides me with candidates that they deem eligible to put on an eligibility list. And then I select the people from that list on who we end up working with and backgrounding, and then potentially offering job positions to. Whether or not that person has academy certification wasn't a factor for them in this process. In fact, all of the finalists I brought to them didn't have academy because I didn't have any finalists that did. So they were aware that this was the position that we were in, and there were no objections to it. So I guess from that standpoint, I guess they reviewed it.
Do we need to do anything further then?
Not at this point, no, because they're not asked to approve it at this point in time. So I think it would be helpful to get it to you, and then you can, as a council, take a look at it in the future.
Sounds good. I'll do that for the next meeting.
And that doesn't delay anything, right?
It doesn't. No, that will be fine.
All right. Review of June financial statements.
Nothing too exciting, but if you, for those that read every line, that #1 document that has the cash balance summary, you'll see there's a new fund number in there called 227, and it's labeled ARPA funds. We received 50% of the city's allocation in late June. And so based on recommendations from the League and Treasury and the Department of Revenue, I placed that in a separate special revenue fund so that way it doesn't impact levy limits and expenditure restraint and that sort of thing. So there's a fund set up, they're segregated in its own bank account of the 294,000 and change. And as we have learned, we have until 2024 to commit to those funds in, I think, 2026 to actually spend them. So there's plenty of time to decide what we want to do with them.
Any questions for anybody on anything on the financials?
In the second half of that, Dan, comes when?
About this time next year.
Gotcha.
Committee reports. Anybody have anything? Linda? Okay.
Oh, I can, for Plan Commission this evening at 4 o'clock, we met and approved 2 of the items that were on the consent agenda this evening. The transfer of land on Madison Avenue, as well as the certified survey map along East High Street in the town of Milton. The third item that was on the agenda was discussion regarding a site plan presented by Farmhouse Finds to allow for outdoor display of merchandise. There was a lengthy discussion that ensued on the Plan Commission level as to whether this should be a permanent change to the ordinance. Right now, the ordinance indicates that there is a unclassified use section of the ordinance that provides the Plan Commission with discretion to approve a use that is congruent with the surrounding neighborhood. Obviously, display of outdoor merchandise in a downtown is congruent. But there was concerns from the Plan Commission as to, if we approve this one, are we then going to become inundated with these requests from other businesses, recognizing the fact that there are already several businesses in our downtowns that do this. Certainly understanding the Commission's perspective on that, and we agree that the ordinance probably should be revisited to kind of bring it up to the times, as well as recognizing the fact that there are currently probably dozens of businesses that are quote unquote in violation with that ordinance, but we understand the rationale for their desire to have that outdoor merchandise. There was discussion back and forth as to whether their request should be denied until such time that an ordinance is brought forward, or if there can be some sort of temporary sunsetted permission. And that's ultimately what the Plan Commission went with. They gave permission for Farmhouse Finds to display their outdoor merchandise until October 1st, with the understanding that sometime between now and October 1st, an ordinance would be brought forward that would change the language in our existing ordinance to simply just allow that type of activity to happen in our downtowns. It's certainly going to take us some time to kind of vet that process, work with Attorney Schrader, as well as kind of think of all sides of the equation. You know, what may work for one business in a downtown may not work for another business. So we just want to be thoughtful in that process. So I'm hopeful that October 1st gives us enough time to kind of vet that process and bring something forward to the council. But I wanted to make you aware that that is kind of on the horizon.
And in fact, the Plan Commission passed a motion to direct the council to look at this ordinance. So, so we said we'd let you know, and you got your work cut out for you, I guess.
And the issue of access was brought up quite a bit to making sure there's enough room to get past for pedestrians.
Yep. Any other committee reports? Okay, staff reports. Chief, do you have anything else?
No, I don't actually. That's it.
Library?
We have an open position, a library assistant position that we're accepting applications through August 6th. So apply and come work at the library. It's super fun. And then our friends of the Milton Public Library have our book sale going on throughout the month of July in the lower level of the building. And then Inga, can I mention the grant? Yeah, we Inga and I received word that we got a $10,000 Batterman Foundation grant for Story Gardens. So that's very exciting, and go towards the walkway potentially. That's exciting.
Inga can only communicate with sign language tonight. Inga, did you want to do a staff report or thumbs down on that? Jenny, anything?
I do. So next Tuesday, we will have Jason Lee from the Wisconsin Alcohol and Tobacco Enforcement agency of the Department of Revenue here. We received over the last couple months questions about alcohol licensing and temporary Class B license in particular. So he is going to be here answering any questions. If there's any questions you have prior to the meeting, if you're not able to attend, just let me know. Also, I sent out an email if you can RSVP, that would be great. So in case we need to notice it as a council meeting. And then also, Musser Appraisal has told us that he's received only 34 questions about our revaluation, which in his opinion has been low for a revaluation year compared to other communities. And at this point, we don't have any inquiries to go to board or review. So that's all right.
Mark E. Langer.
Cottonwood Lane water main work's going well. Should be doing some service installation this week. That project is moving along. They'll be over to Blanche Drive once Cottonwood is completed. Probably start seeing equipment moving along Parkview Drive here in August for that sanitary sewer work. The chip sealing job will probably, they did some work on it here in the last couple of weeks, but the rest of the work will probably take place in the next few weeks as well. Other than that, things are going pretty good. Treatment plant's running, got a lot of water, so we're in good shape.
Thanks. Dan, anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Al?
We have a new employee starting up at City Hall on August 2nd. Another Ashley. She'll never replace the previous two Ashleys, in addition to. We have we received a preliminary plat yesterday for development, continuation of the development of Red Hawk Farms, which is the single family development up on Pierce Farms on top of the hill. We're hoping to have that on an agenda in August, hopefully August 3rd. So that'll be a continuation of that development. And we have another potential development out in the industrial park that has been more than fast-tracked that would potentially go on the newly rail-served site south of Putnam Parkway, which is great news for us, which means that we will hopefully have only owned that property for less than a year, which is always our desire. So that would be exciting. Certainly no done deal by any means yet, but it's just fascinating to see how quickly we get on people's radar when stuff like that's out there. So that's what I know right now.
Did I miss anybody? All right. We have to make sure that Linda can hear this and we see her because it's important that she participates in team building. This is our first combination meeting for team building. So the first question I think is going to be super easy, and we're going to use super just all night long. That's just going to be our tip for tonight. What is, and anybody can answer, and then we can move on to the second part of team building. What is Milton's connection to the Milwaukee Bucks?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played here, practiced here. The Bucks practiced here. Was it Jabbar was on the team?
The Milton
training camp.
Yeah. Milton College was the training center for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Did you all get that? Okay. So we're going to help the Milwaukee Bucks a little bit. They don't know it. They don't know that they're getting this help right now. So their slogan is fear the deer. So that's their part of it. So we're going to add to it. So it's fear the deer, and what's going to be the second part of it for us? Larry? Always cheer.
Have a beer.
Oh, mine was drink the beer.
I for whatever reason, what came to mind is fear the deer, hooray for beer, based on the fact that they're expecting 65,000 people to converge on what is it? They call it the Deer District in downtown Milwaukee. That's good thing CWD doesn't exist in humans.
Fear or fear my cheer.
Oh, say that out loud into your microphone, Teresa.
Fear the deer or fear my cheer.
I'll go with what David Bakhtiari does, chug the beer.
I like that.
Fear the deer, will he appear, in reference to Aaron Rodgers.
Of course, like that little controversy in there. Well, you know, you guys want to watch the game. Like, I have no life, so.
I am not a basketball fan. I haven't watched any of the games. But, so it's Fear the Deer, This Is the Year.
Oh, isn't she smart?
We'll send that one to the marketers.
Ashley and I were talking about what the city of Milwaukee will look like if they win tonight. And I'm not a poet. So fear the deer and obey the law. I think a priority for me.
Yeah, there you go.
Or fear the law.
It's like a haiku.
Yeah. You switch poetry on us.
Linda's got one.
Every time I see this hand going.
Star six, Linda.
Okay. I like the fear the deer and have a beer.
We got it. We got it.
All of a sudden you hear a little tap on the tab.
Yeah. Is it just the two Marks and Devin?
Yeah.
And Karen and Inga?
I don't think
Inga go? Did you go, Inga? Oh.
I don't have one that rhymes with that, but I like the ones for Giannis's block when they were coming up with the SPF 34 and stuff like that when he made the block at the end of the game.
So what is that?
SPF 34 sunblock, the sun's sunblock.
But Giannis is a basketball player for the Milwaukee Bucks. One of the objects of the game.
So sunblock is a joke. I need pictures. I need footnotes. I need you to give us sources. And Ryan. Anybody can help them out if you've come up with another catchy one that the mayor doesn't need a long explanation for. Who do you want to donate that to, Teresa? Okay, so did you hear what Teresa bailed you out? Go ahead, Teresa. Tell them.
Fear the deer and a trophy is near. Thank you.
Oh.
You better bring.
So there's just two more slogans we need. Mark and Devin.
Unless you want
to. Who did you want to donate that to? Devin, did you hear that? He'll take it. You got to say it.
Fear the deer, they'll kick you in the rear.
I just want you to know this is all going to be a TikTok video, just so you know. All right, I'll bail you out. Fear the deer, break the law. Your lawyer is here. He's cringing. You cannot cringe.
I don't think.
Kind of want to keep my law license, you know. I don't want to encourage that.
Man, you guys, you're just such a tough audience tonight. All right. So, Ryan, number 15.
Consideration of a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.52, subsection 1E. Is that the correct one, Mark? Okay. Wisconsin statutes considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. In this case, City Hall personnel and reorganization.
We need a second.
Second.
Oh, Linda and Devin seconded. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carries.